Durag Wisdom here, folks, and welcome to Earth Date Y2K 18.06.18. 141 days until our midterm elections. Folks, you see me wearing these hats all the time, different hats. I'm just trying to be entertaining. I mean, you see the plug back here. I mean, this is really sophisticated. This is gorilla. So, just trying to give you a little laugh if I wear a funny hat. And the sunglasses, believe me, I'm telling the truth here. I mean, you know, you can look me in the eyes. I'm trying to tell the truth as I see it, and I'll let you know if I have fake news or whatever it is, or conspiracy theories. I will let you know in advance if that is. But the reason I'm wearing these sunglasses is so you don't have to look, and I've said this before, and this is for anyone who's visiting, you don't have to look at, excuse me, this is the eye. This is my good eye, and this is basically my blind eye. So you shouldn't have to look at dead-eyed Dick, because that eye goes anywhere it wants. Sometimes I'm afraid I'm going to have to chase it as it's running down the street. Anyway, Bill Maher is the only one. Bill Maher, satirist, humorist, stand-up comedian, political pundit, is the only one who is telling it like it is. And believe me, I'm not sycophantic with Maher. If I don't agree with him, I'm going to say it. Maher last Friday night let all hear that the GOP is dead, sadly. At least for now. And that Trump intends to cancel the Y2K20, also known as 2020, elections before we can confine him to the fecal-stained dustbin of history. No one on the panel would entertain Maher's contention. Who wants to, right? You know, it's denial. But I agree with him because I've been maintaining it from the very beginning of these broadcasts too. Denial of our situation is death to our country. The totalitarian takeover of our country does not happen overnight. Maher has been calling it a slow-moving coup. Amy Siskin simply calls it the list. You should read that book, by the way. I personally am just an angry old man on a virtual soapbox thanks to YouTube, and I thank you, YouTube, for allowing me to express my views. I'm just on a soapbox, a virtual soapbox. No one, nobody. But Maher is a famous celebrity. When I say that Trump will cancel elections in 2020, I expect that few will pay attention. But when Maher says it, the same thing. I hope that people will finally wake the F up. And it is already too late, you know, because we have a totalitarian dictator in our White House right now, and we must get him out. This country, my friends, this country was attacked by the Russians, by Putin. And we now have his boy in our White House, and he's doing everything he wants. This Nazi scum, this fascist scum. I will not allow this Trump creep to take over our country. If he cancels the Y2K20 elections, I hope by then I am armed with my 2 shotgun home protection. And when I say I'm going to own 2 shotguns, believe me, when that day arrives, first of all, I'm afraid of weapons like that. I respect them. And secondly, by purchasing such weapons, I am now accepting the fact that this country of ours is in a dangerous situation where I may have to give my life to protect myself against fascism. And when I mention anything I mention now in this broadcast about guns, I'm not going to go out and shoot anybody. I don't do that. You shoot that creep, you assassinate him, you'll make a martyr out of him. I want him out legally. But we have to protect ourselves when this creep cancels the elections. If any Trump fascist goon comes invading my home, I'll have those shotguns once he cancels those elections. If they come to my home, invade my home, there will be blood. I also plan on donning a helmet and carrying a baseball bat to any protest that I attend, because we're going to have many of them if he cancels election, But I will wear that helmet, and I will attend with a baseball bat for fear that the Trumpist fascists will attack us as their leader said they should do. I hope that I will crack their skulls before they punch me in the face, quote unquote, as the Trump fiend suggested at one of his hate rallies. I believe in peaceful protest. Once a president cancels an election in our country, all bets are off. And it is time, sadly, for the hot civil war to begin. And that is something Putin is waiting for. So believe me, the last thing I want is a civil war, a hot civil war here. But I refuse to live under the rule of that Trump-Putin dictator, and I think most of you agree. Make no mistake, the wheels of fascism are grinding on as I make this broadcast. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette fired editorial cartoonist Rob Rogers for his graphic on-target criticizing of Trader Trump. You ever heard of that? It's free speech, freedom of the press. And everything that cartoonist is saying about that creep is right on. The traitor creep has praise for a brutal dictator like Kim the thug and all dictators in general, and curses our allies. The tainted Supreme Court has already ruled against voters by allowing states to throw people off the rolls if they miss voting a couple of years. This same right-wing tainted court may be about to rule that unions do not have the right to collect dues. And the end of the session for the Supreme Court is the end of this month, so this decision is coming soon. This traitor Trump Nazi creep is doing what Hitler would have done, separating children from parents. I've had that experience when I was a little kid, being separated from my parents during their divorce. None of my relatives would take us. So this is a Nazi tactic that this traitor is doing, and believe me, it's going to traumatize these kids for life as it's done me. If we react in silence to this outrage, this Nazi outrage against our democratic republic and against fellow human beings, we are just as guilty. We can't stand silently by while this Nazi evil creep separates children from their parents and then lies about it. Oh, I hope that this creep dies of painful natural causes and his Republican Party with him. I will never delude myself. Similar to MAHER, I see exactly what he sees in the Trump-Putin case. I know that I will vote for the life of this country this November. But we still have, or will have, 2 more years of this cursed trumpet creep in our lives until he gets impeached, tried, imprisoned, and executed. Plenty of time for him to consolidate his nefarious plans. And never forget that he has at least 60 million registered voters in our country who support him no matter what. And they're usually portrayed in the mainstream media as the 42%. Well, 42% right now is 60 million registered voters. 60 million registered assholes who support fascism and separating children from parents and having child molesters in our Congress. These people support that kind of agenda. He may not have to cancel the 2020 elections, folks. That creep, that Trumpin' coward. Because he could very well win again. Do not doubt that for a minute. We have to be ready for this eventuality, folks. I will never say that it could never happen here, especially because I'm a Jew and my people were murdered by Nazi Germany. And by the way, I am very sorry that there are so many Jews involved in the Trump campaign, members of my tribe. I want you all to know that any Jewish person involved in this campaign, this Trump agenda, is a traitor to his people, including that Nazi Stephen Miller, a Jew. Look, I tell the truth. I love my tribe. And when my tribe does wrong, I'm going to speak up about it. What are you going to do if the traitor, the birther, the creep, the fascist, totalitarian scumbag Trump Putin decides to cancel our elections? Because we have to get together. We have to get together and fight. What are you going to do if he cancels our elections? What are you